Hey everyone, I hope that you're all having a lovely day. Today is August 25th, which means that it's Tim Burton's birthday. And this video idea actually came to me in a dream when I first started my YouTube channel. I had a dream that I made a video on Tim Burton's birthday for his birthday, just talking about my favorite movies of his, and that he saw the video. And I know this is a long shot, I'm not expecting for him to see this at all. But I thought it was an interesting idea for my subconscious to think of, and I absolutely adore his work. I always have. I feel that I can confidently say I'm at least one of his biggest fans. So I thought, what the hell, this is my platform. I want to sit here and I want to talk about Tim Burton. I want to talk about why his work means so much to me, and I kind of want to give an overview of who he is for anybody who doesn't really know. I'm wearing my, I don't know if you can see it. It says Simply Meant to Be Jack and Sally. I saved this thing for special occasions, and today's one of them. I want to start off saying that when I was a kid, I was just terrified of anything remotely scary. I couldn't even walk down the Target Halloween aisle without being spooked. So it was always very interesting that I loved Tim Burton's movies growing up. Not that they're necessarily scary, but for a little kid who's scared of plastic pumpkins, I loved his work and his art even back then. He is clearly one of the most recognizable directors in the world. That's not even my opinion, that's just a straight up fact. You can see a movie and you know it's either directed by Tim Burton or it's heavily influenced by Tim Burton. Like, Tim Burton was not affiliated with Coraline, but you can tell that they were super inspired by his style of art. The reason his work to me is so eye-catching is because of his use of German Expressionism, which I only know what that is because of his work. By the way, a lot of the info that I'm going to be talking about I've gotten from YouTube videos, and I'll link them down below. German Expressionism in his movies would be like the tilted doorways, lopsided buildings, the shadowy darkness, distorted shapes. It's all things that you would think of when you think of a Tim Burton movie, especially his animated movies. I also just want to say I love his use of practical effects in his films. He's not exclusive to them, which is cool. He'll use CGI if it enhances the movie, but I am a huge fan of practical effects. And when I think of practical effects, I think of Tim Burton movies. So for a quick second, I kind of just want to talk about who he is. And then after that, I want to talk about like my favorite movies of his and why they're my favorites. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of ramble. In 6th grade, we had to do a report on a very inspirational person, like someone who influences us in a positive way. And I chose him, and that's where I learned a lot about him in the first place. From what I've researched, his dad was a former baseball player, and he kind of pressured Tim into going that route with his life, but clearly that's not what happened. Growing up, Tim felt very isolated, he wasn't very close to his parents, and he ended up turning to movies to kind of give him a sense of comfort, which I think a lot of us do. He turned to those classic monster movies. He felt, in a way, connected to the monsters. He felt that he could empathize with them, that more often than not, they were just misunderstood and they were judged for being different, and I resonate with that. I always have that viewpoint when I'm watching a movie like that. He figured out his art style. You know, he learned how to do the formal art, and then he figured out his own style. He went off to film school, and his first big job in the industry was with Disney, which is funny because that was back when they were doing like Peter Pan and Jungle Book, and Tim Burton's art does not match that type of art. But he was actually brought on to help with concept art for The Black Cauldron, which is Disney's darkest film, I'm pretty sure. If you haven't seen it, you can just look it up and you'll see what I mean. His concept art was not used, but they kept him on at Disney to pursue passion projects. They paid for him to make short films just to kind of see what he's all about. That's when he made Vincent and his first adaptation of Frankenweenie. Then Disney let him go. They thought he was wasting their resources by making scary stuff that they were never going to show to kids, and they fired him. I love a good, this isn't gonna stop me from doing what I want to do in life story. A lot of celebrities have these where, you know, in real life, if you got out of film school and Disney hired you and then they fired you, you'd be down in the dumps and you'd kind of think, am I even like meant to do this? Like, that was my big break. But Tim just went on to do amazing things. He built his own career. He's basically a brand. You know, think Tim Burton, and he's this brand of a certain type of art and a certain type of movie. He got brought on to direct Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which is from 1984. He then did the Batman and Batman Returns movies from the 80s, which are so campy and so amazing. If you haven't seen those, I highly recommend it. This is actually a funny thing that I just learned. According to, I believe, an interview he did, he has a lifelong ban to Comic-Con because specific people didn't like that he deviated from the original plot of Batman, which I think is very interesting because I think he did a really good job with those movies. And to be honest, I don't think superhero movies would be where they are without him breaking out of that goofy superhero thing that was kind of going on before he made those movies. He kind of brought back the darkness and like the seriousness, but he still kept it very weird and very Tim Burton. Weird in a good way. Anyway, after that, Disney saw his success and they wanted him back, and that is how The Nightmare Before Christmas became a thing. The characters Tim Burton thought of all on his own. Like Jack Skellington, he had sketched and sketched over time. Years he's had that character ready for something. Sally was based off of, I believe, a woman he was dating. So he had all those characters ready. All he needed was a story. Thought of the story, it came to him. Someone else wrote it, did the script, someone else directed it. He didn't direct that movie, and Danny Elfman, of course, did the music. That's another thing I adore about Tim Burton's films, is the way the music carries the story. You can definitely recognize a Tim Burton film just by the soundtrack. If Danny Elfman has anything to do with it, it's very distinctive. I saw a video that was really cool on YouTube where it showed the Beetlejuice opening scene, which is just a pan of a town, literally the camera moving across buildings and fields, and the YouTube video showed it first with just classic music, and it was so boring. And then they showed you the same scene but with the Danny Elfman music that was in the film, and it made the biggest difference because it's music that's so iconic that you've just never heard anywhere else before. It's so original. The Corpse Bride is the epitome of a Tim Burton film. It has almost all the actors he likes to include in his films. Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham Carter, Christopher Lee did a voice in that, and he's also in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That's another thing I think is really cool. I've heard that Tim Burton has a specific way of communicating to the actors when he's directing, and he prefers to just reuse actors that understand his vision and what he wants. He said before that him and Johnny Depp have this like unwritten language where Johnny just kind of understands what Tim wants to see. Obviously my all-time favorite movie, which you guys are probably so sick of me talking about, is Big Fish. Tim Burton directed that movie. That movie would be nowhere near as magical if it weren't for Tim Burton. If you have not seen that movie, even if you're not a fan of Tim Burton's work, you will love that movie. I don't think there's a person on earth who couldn't possibly adore that film. It is the most, really magical, sweet love story, adventure. It's funny, so heartwarming. It is such a feel-good movie, and I guarantee that you will cry. Not because of sadness, just because it's so heartwarming. Beside that, if you're gonna watch any Tim Burton film, I recommend Corpse Bride. If you really want to understand his work and just kind of like fall into this world of Tim Burton, that just really is one of my favorite movies ever. I don't want to say it's underrated because it definitely has hype, but I'm a little surprised it's not more popular than it is. I remember seeing that movie in theaters. It came out in 2005, so that means I was 7, and I saw it in theaters, and I wish I could relive that, seeing it for the first time. Tim Burton was actually supposed to do, I don't know if you remember, there was an animated Addams Family movie that came out like a year-ish ago. Before that, Tim Burton was actually supposed to take that movie on, and he was supposed to be affiliated with that movie. That didn't end up working out. I'm not sure why. Bummer, because I love the Addams Family and I love Tim Burton. That would have been amazing. But for whatever reason, it didn't work out, and some other company took it on, and I believe it flopped. That's happened before. He was supposed to take on a Superman movie back in the day when he was doing the Batman films. I believe Nicolas Cage was supposed to play Superman, and for whatever reason during development, that movie also kind of just fell off. It never happened. That happens. I just sometimes think like, whoa, what if we had all these movies? That'd be so cool. I think if you're a fan of Tim Burton, you can really appreciate his rendition of Dumbo. You know, it has the Danny Elfman music. It has a lot of throwback cast members. He has Danny DeVito in it as the circus guy, which is a similar role to what Danny DeVito plays in Big Fish. Ava Green is in it, and she was also in Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, which Tim Burton directed, and that's also a fantastic movie. Michael Keaton comes back in it. He is Batman in the Tim Burton movies, and he also plays Beetlejuice. So I feel like if you're a fan of his movies, all these little Easter eggs, if they even count as that, they're pretty cool. I've always found myself to be a very creative person. I find that it does take a while to figure out your specific style of art or whatever your outlet is creatively, and I always appreciated Tim Burton's story with that, how he kind of found himself. He built this giant career for himself. He's always and forever going to be one of the most distinctive directors. He's definitely going to go down in history. People will go on to mimic his art style in film in a flattering way. I think that he's inspired a lot of people throughout his career. I'm hoping that he has many more movies that come out. I would love to see another animated film by him. I've been hearing for a while now that Beetlejuice 2 is in the works. The day that comes out will be one of the happiest days of my life. I know he doesn't particularly like to do sequels, so I'm still, even though it has an IMDb page, I'm still skeptical that it's actually gonna happen. But if it does, I'm so excited. I think a lot of people think of Tim Burton as kind of just this hot topic, like goth alternative creator, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I think he's so much more than that, and he is so much more than that. He really has a genius mind, and I think a lot of people find comfort in his work. I think that it's a safe place for a lot of people. I will always continue being a fan of his work. There will never be a day in my life where I stop supporting him. He is truly my most influential creative person that I look up to, and he has been since my childhood. So I'm putting this out into the universe. Thank you, Tim Burton, for everything you've done for so many people. Thank you for sticking with who you are, putting art out that you love into the universe and not conforming to other people. And if you're watching this and you're also a fan of Tim Burton's work, let me know what your favorite movies are and why. That's it for this video. If you've subscribed, thank you so much. A quick update on the fires, because I know I've been talking about that a lot on my social medias. Our air quality is better today. I've not had to evacuate. They keep saying this is only the start of fire season, but that's just a quick update because I don't want anybody to worry. I've had a lot of people ask me how my family and I are doing. We're definitely fine. We're staying safe, and I think where we live is in the clear. I don't want to jinx it, but I haven't heard otherwise. So anyway, I hope that you all have a great rest of your week. I'm happy that you stopped by, and I hope that you stick around.